Hey everyone, if you have an elk tag this season or are helping a friend out by calling for them, then you need to go check out and order these new custom BowhuntingAZ elk calls. These custom reeds are by the brand we all know and trust, Native by Carlton. Each call showcases the custom BowhuntingAZ logo as well as the new Elk Series logo. Their Rip It series of calls bring quality sound and pure domination to the playing field. Offered at only $11 each, you couldn't ask for a better offer. Order yours today while supplies last. There is a limited quantity, so don't wait. www.bowhuntingaz.com. Hey guys, head on over to Facebook and search for the group BowhuntingAZ. That's the group, not the Facebook page itself. Answer a couple simple questions and hit join. I created this group in hopes of generating online mentorship for new and upcoming hunters. This is a place where there are no stupid questions. We want to help you grow and mature in your hunting journey. We're not giving out locations and we're not giving out honey holes, but my goal is to allow for education without barriers or fear of ridicule for simply not knowing. So jump on in and join the group. I'll see you there. Hunting might have its seasons, but prepping for it is year-round. The mountain commands our best effort and sacrifice. Reach your peak performance with Dark Mountain supplements. Their quality proteins, recovery, and Kodiak pre-workout are a surefire way to dominate in the gym and in the woods. Use promo code GIVEITASHOT30 and accelerate your journey to defeating your Dark Mountain. Backwoods Grind. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a huge coffee nut. I like my coffee strong and a solid flavor to back it up. The guys over at Backwoods Grind have it going on. I get my coffee shipped every 2 weeks to me automatically, and you can choose whole bean or different variations of ground. You can opt for a one-time purchase, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. Backwoods Grind is a coffee that goes beyond the mug. From traditions to memories and long-lasting relationships, these are all built upon the passion brought to you by their blends, specifically roasted for hunters and outdoorsmen alike. Be sure to check out their 3 newly released blends, Camp House, Fireside, and Nightcap. Visit backwoodsgrind.com and use code BAZ10 to get 10% off your order. I'd also like to thank Racks. Racks is hands down the coolest bow hangers on the market. Display your bow with pride in your house, your garage, or anywhere you'd like. They carry most major bow brands while also offering a custom service if you have an idea or logo of your own that you'd like to make into a bow hanger. Use them to display your traditional bow, compound bow, or crossbow. They also work great for hanging your hunting gear, bags, or hats. Not to mention, the designs look just plain awesome all by themselves. A Racks hanger makes for a great gift for that special hunter in your life. Go to raxinc.com, that's RAXXINC.com, to see some of the available designs or contact Racks to discuss a custom hanger of your own. If you'd like to see how sick their custom hangers are, go check out my Instagram feed. For listeners of the BowhuntingAZ podcast, use the promo code PODCAST and get 15% off your order. Racks, show off your passion. Open Country Optics. Open Country Optics is your #1 online source for optics and optics rentals. With quality Swarovski glass before your eyes, Open Country Optics brings the game closer. Rentals include a tripod, binos, and you can even add on a phone scope or foldable chair to glass from. All of the optics arrive in a durable Pelican case with insulated foam. You won't find any other company who provides you an all-inclusive package like Open Country Optics. Visit them today at opencountryoptics.com. Use promo code BHAZ and get 5% off rentals or $50 off any optics purchase. Open Country Optics, bringing the game closer. Scent Assassin. Scent Assassin, the new leader in scent elimination. Scent Assassin manufactures the latest technology in scent elimination spray, body wash, and laundry detergent. Forget the wind, hunt anywhere, anytime. Check out their full product line at scentassassin.com. Use promo code BowhuntingAZ for 20% off your order. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the BowhuntingAZ podcast. In today's episode, I'm speaking with Ralph Ramos of Ramos Hunts and Video Production Outfitters. Ralph Ramos has over 30 plus years of hunting knowledge and was the guest speaker at the Christian Hunters of America Elk Seminar. Today, Ralph and I talk about his journey into the hunting world, where it all started, what gear he uses to hunt, and a video. Let's jump on into today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the BowhuntingAZ podcast. I have Ralph Ramos with me today, and we're just going to kind of cover his general hunting career, who he is as a hunter, and kind of his adventures along the way. So thank you so much, Ralph, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Stephen. Thanks for having me on. It's been an exciting 30 plus years of elk hunting out in the woods. Talk about trial and error and really trying to learn from my mistakes to hone my skills of trying to play with elk and try to get in their mind to try to suck them in for a hunter so we can ruin them with some good elk hunting experiences for a lifetime, man. It's exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. In 30 years, man, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. What is your, I'm just going to automatically default to elk as probably your favorite species to pursue.
Absolutely. I love elk hunting. And I got to be honest with you, turkey hunting has made me the elk hunter that I am today because they're so similar, but also the turkey are so finicky and I believe even more difficult to call in than elk. But man, I am an elk fanatic, and I'll definitely pack a turkey out of the woods a lot easier than an elk, man. But no, hey, I love elk hunting. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you remember your very first hunt? Where was it and who it was with?
My very first hunt overall or very first elk hunt?
Very first hunt ever.
Absolutely. That's definitely my dad. My dad, took me into the woods early on. I believe I was 5 years old. I know that a hunt that stands out in my mind, I was actually 6 with my dad, my uncles. They had shot a nice buck in November, and my grandfather had just given me a case knife, just a little 3.5 inch bladed knife. And I was like, hey, can I gut this thing? Because I had seen him do it before. I was just really curious about it. And they're like, oh, sure, So anyways, my dad walked me through on how to do it. And man, I was hooked, man. It was so cool.
Yeah, but, absolutely. That was one of my questions too, is what's your most memorable hunt? Would you say it's that one, or do you have a different one that sticks out as far as number one most memorable?
That one there, just because I think the work ethic that my dad instilled in me, from that early age, from being respectful to the animal, I'll obviously bringing all the edible parts and skinning it. And it was really a huge culture in New Mexico. And that will never change. And that's why I do what I do today. That's why I'm going to be talking today to educate people on my experience on what's helped me be successful in the woods. And that's where it all started. Now when you talk about success as well and memorable moments, it wasn't the kill. It wasn't, how big the horns were. It was about the experience. And that's why I really love to call elk, because it's the experience that I like. When guys want to just trophy hunt, and I got to be honest with you, we've taken some big bulls. We've taken 390, 400-inch bulls before, but those come. I've been involved, very fortunate, thank God and the good Lord, to provide me with 368 elk that I've been involved with as of today. And at least 1,500 setups on elk. That's what's made me successful, is my mistakes and learning in the woods from that. Also learning from people like Larry Jones, Dwight Shue, the Elk Fever 1 videos back in the 70s or, late 70s, early 80s. Pete Shepley from PSC Archery Equipment. Boy, he's a legend, and he speaks very honest. And, these are the forefathers that we owe it to. but have really brought hunting the way it is today with technology, with rangefinders and hex suits, and how everything has transitioned into what we are today. But I was very fortunate also, Steve, that I was on the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish Game Commission, where I was really a true believer in fair chase, and I believe that we owe it to the animals. I'm not a firm believer in satellite or GPS type of cameras, that give you messages when the elk and deer are there at a certain place. I like fair chase, and I think that's what stimulates me to like elk hunting, is the challenge to be out there in the woods, walking, trying to get them to give up their location, move in with the X zone, set up with the calls, whether it's cow call, bugles, to stimulate them to come in, to giving us that harvest, with that, taking of the animal and the edibles, the parts, the pieces, everything that we do with these animals, because I respect it and respect these animals so much that, as part of being on that commission, I learned a lot there as well, because we got to manage the ecosystem. And yes, we have predators, but we also got to balance predation as well. Predator control is extremely important if we want to see our ungulates and other wildlife survive. So these are some difficult times that we're going to be facing, but that's kind of where I'm at today, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And hey, I have a question then I'll throw at you, since you were on the Game Commission here in Arizona, and actually it might even be in New Mexico, and there's a couple other states, but I know there's a huge push to ban these predator hunting contests and stuff. Where do you sit on that subject?
You know what? Contests are a little bit different, and I'm not going to say that contests are wrong or anything, but I got to be honest with you, we need predator control. Yeah. Whether it's with helicopter, not being fair chase, we need predator control. If we don't control our predators, our wildlife's going to be impacted. I think it's being impacted right now we have way too many lions. We have way too many bear. We have, I believe, I'd love to manage wolves right now at the population that they're at. I think the greater Gila involving Arizona, New Mexico can sustain 109 wolves. Yeah. But I think we get over into even close to the 200 mark, we're going to see our elk herds really hurt. I think we get into their goal of 300 wolves between Mexico and New Mexico and Arizona. We're going to see some hard times. When you get to 300, a wolf needs 2.3 elk per month to sustain his life. And if you get to the 300 mark in 1 year, you're talking 85 to 10,000 elk. When right now we have 18,000 elk living there. There's your elk. Now you're talking mule deer. Now you're talking every other animal that lives there. These animals are killing machines. They're beautiful animals, but they're killing machines. That's their job. That's why they eliminated them early on. So now you're dealing with cattle, and it's a super controversial issue right now. And I strongly recommend sportsmen to get involved, go to your game commission meetings, be vocal about where you stand, but be professional how you do it. Yeah. I know that as hunters, we need to become organized. We need to email. We need to attend meetings because this is where our future is going to be. And people need to be educated. That is one thing that I am extremely proud of, that we've gotten hunter education in the public schools. We have it online now. And it's not about killing animals. Hunting is a tool, but we have to realize and educate ourselves with the whole picture, and that is to manage the predators with the other forms of wildlife that live within that ecosystem. And I'll kind of leave it at that, Stephen, but great experience, but now we've got to continue being vocal and take a stand on that at all levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can attest to that. This last over-the-counter deer season here in Arizona, I had 3 different stalks blown where I was 60 yards or under on a buck, and all 3 of those stalks were blown due to a coyote coming in hot on a beeline towards the buck and scaring it off. And so this probably within the next month or so, I'll be out at some of my deer spots doing some predator control for sure.
And that's good. And you know what? And I don't think I answered your question on that predator contest and stuff. Let me tell you where I stand.
Sure.
I think we need to get a little more savvy on this. I think we need to, if you're going to have a contest, you need to work with the Department of Game and Fish, maybe U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and try to target areas where we need predator control. Mm-hmm. The thing that I don't really care about contests is the person that has the biggest private property normally wins, because that's where the high concentration of coyotes are at, and they're the only ones that have access to it. I would like to see contests target public land, and that way we go out there and we do that. I think, and I respect ranchers. In fact, I was an ag teacher as well for 8 years. I know agriculture. I respect ranchers so much because we're losing ranchers every day, but they have predator controls programs as well. Okay. But to me, public is what I'm kind of looking at for contests. Let's just target a unit. This is where we need to be on that. Yep. And again, I would also like to see part of the contest with some skills on skinning, and what are we going to do with that hide when we harvest that animal as well. We respect it to gain, part of, again, fair chase. Yeah. Maybe those are some points that we can bring up then. I need to dive more into it. I've sent letters to our Game and Fish and stuff like that, but my understanding is that our commissioner was the one that introduced and enforced these rules of the ban that's now in place. So we'll have to see how that goes even more. But moving on, during your hunting career and everything like that, who would you say was the biggest mentor and that had the most impact throughout it? My dad, definitely number one. He exposed me to hunting early on. He supported me with that. My uncles, the great community in Grant County, New Mexico, Silver City area, just the culture, that I was brought up with. I owe it to these people. Now, outside of that, I've been around some great mentors. Pete Shepley, I owe him a lot. Mike Strandland, he's with the good Lord now. He was the Bowhunting World editor. Bruce Berry. These people are the ones that helped me create my network early on, as far as knowing people in the industry. Today, I have people like Scott Eastman and Mike Slinkard from Hex that I work with closely. Because I believe in this product. But, just working with people who understand what we're dealing with and look at the global picture, and it's not an ego thing that drives me. To me, it's about educating people and working with people to share, because we're losing hunters every day. We're not gaining any newer hunters. And what I mean by that is that if you're into hunting and your family was into hunting, more than likely you're going to hunt. What I'm talking about is those individuals in inner city and even rural country now where they're never exposed to hunting and they never do it. And so that's why I strongly encourage people to take out kids, to get their wives, women involved with the great outdoors, and not necessarily only to hunt, but to explore and to understand, what the beauty of the habitat and conservation is all about. Yeah, absolutely. If you had to take a stab at what a dream hunt of yours would be, what would that look like? A dream hunt would be to get an elk tag every year in my own state or in any state in the West. And then just being able to hunt elk. I got to be honest with you. I have been very fortunate to hunt, in South Africa. I've been in Quebec. I've been in Canada, and even Mexico. But I got to be honest with you. You cannot beat hunting in New Mexico, Arizona, and elk hunting is at its finest. To me, that is as good as it gets anywhere.
Yep, absolutely. Are you more of a bow or a rifle guy?
I am more of a bow guy, but I got to be honest with you. The last 4 years, I've been hunting elk with the rifle due to the fact that I can't draw a tag, and I'm guiding elk hunters during the archery season, and then I end up, trading an elk tag. So I can at least get to go and bring some food to the table. Yeah, absolutely. Talk to us a little bit about how you're calling to elk and everything like that, and you get a bull that's just hung up. How do you get that bull out of its funk? Okay, and that's pretty typical when you get an elk. Normally elk are always bugling at your calls because they're pretty much demanding you to go to them. And what we're trying to do as callers, we reciprocate our sounds that we produce to try to suck him in and, reverse the role there. So bulls tend to hang up, normally. In fact, when I start locating elk, we move in for the setup, and, I call it the X zone. And part of this X zone is where I strategically place the hunter in the middle of the X. The hunter backs off. The caller backs off. That would be myself. At least 60 yards to start the scenario. The bull out in front of you is either going to move to the left or to the right of the shooter and call. He's trying to either wind you, or he's going to pick up his language by bugling, at you, trying to stimulate you to go to him. Again, that's the natural process. But instead, when he moves to the left, I move to the right and trying to suck this bull in to the hunter in the middle. If he moves to the right at that point, I move to the left, and I'm talking moving 50, 60 yards. And if I sense the bull is coming in towards my calls, I back out. Remember, I started out at 60 yards, then I'll back out maybe another 40 yards. And if he keeps coming, I'll keep backing out. Now, what's going to happen normally is the bull's going to bugle from one spot at least 3 times. Once he bugles 3 times from that same spot, I normally, when I set up the X zone, and there's like 4 different ways you can use the X zone. But in this average or, very novice X zone setup, this might take you 20 to 30 minutes to call this bull in. He hung up, he's bugling from the same spot for 3 different times. I've been stimulating his bugles with my cow calls. I have not made any moans or bugles or anything. All I'm doing right now is cow calls, cow calf calls. And he's bugling from the same spot. That's when I will switch from my cow calls to a bugle, small bugle. Real simple, not very loud, not very aggressive. When that bull hears that bull bugle, he's going to click in his head, now I know why those ladies aren't coming to me. Those cows aren't coming because there's a little bull over there with them. So now he's going to get aggressive with his bugle. He might sound something like this. He's picking up the tempo. He's getting a little more upset. So when he does that, I like to, again, hit him with a small, non-intimidating bugle right back. In fact, cut him off every time he bugles, and I will guarantee you that bull's going to keep coming in. But that's exactly what happens when a bull hangs up. Okay. What about moving in a little closer, tips or tricks that might vary from what you just answered?
if he gets hung up and he's in that 60 to 40 yard kill zone of your hunter, say you're doing the X method or whatever, and he gets hung up.
Zone?
Yeah, the X zone. Thank you. And he gets hung up in that 60 to 40 yard range, and your hunter doesn't have a shot. What can you do to kind of move him a little bit or get him unhung from there?
Okay, and that's a good question. I tell you what, that's when I back out. I keep backing. Remember, I was at 60 yards to start out with. I moved out 40 yards. Now I'm at 100 yards. I'll back out maybe a little bit more, okay? Now, if I sense that that's where he's at, I may even move in a little towards him again. I may go back to 60 yards.
Okay.
The nice thing about being this distance away from your hunter in the back, you have cover to be able to move where that elk's not going to see you, you know, and, you know, so that's kind of what I do with the bull. I'll play with him by moving around, and I got to be honest with you, I don't stop calling. Now, I don't call like boom, 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 boom. Call. No, but I'll get my rhythm. Basically, what I'm doing back there is I'm simulating a cow and a calf. A calf. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? The mama, over here. Over here. And then, where are you? And then the little calf, here. Here I am. Here I am. Here I am. Hey, what about you? You know, so that's what I'm simulating back there, and trying to get that bull, you know, to come in.
Absolutely. What are some of the most common mistakes that you see rookie hunters doing?
Okay, that's a great question, because I think what happens with rookie hunters is, first of all, they don't rely on their mossy oak camo. They like to stand behind a tree and set up with a knocked arrow behind a tree and hide from the elk that way. Okay. I like to set up on my knees. Normally, if the bull is straight out in front of me, I like to put my knees over to the right, facing towards the right. That way my torso, if you look at your torso when you draw your bow back, you can twist all the way to your left and you twist all the way to your right. Okay. So your knees need to be more to the right, so you can at least get a 180 degree angle variability as the bull comes in. You don't know if he's going to come in to your right or to your left. Right. So you want to be out in front of your brush. That's a real common mistake. The next mistake they do is, and that's why, Stephen, I love PSC bows. In fact, it was nice to be in the conversation with Pete Shepley about a 90% let-off bow. And the nice thing about this Evolve Cam is you can even adjust it to 85% let-off or 80. And anyways, when that bull's coming in, I can draw my PSC bow when that bull's at least at 80 yards. And what I see novice rookie mistakes do, they like to draw when that bull's like at 30 yards, 25 yards. It's too late. He's either going to see you or he's going to hear you, and the game's over. Okay. I like to draw early on, come to full draw. I even like to put my lower cam onto my thigh while I'm there waiting. And man, I can hold that bow forever. And let him come in, waiting for that good, perfect shot, man. You have a window of opportunity to stick it to him, and that's so much funner to do that. That's a rookie mistake. Those are probably the two that I see very common, and I go over with them before we even get out there in the field. Here's another tip that I strongly recommend anybody. It doesn't even matter if you're a pro. When you're hunting elk, you look at you got to figure out your maximum range, okay? And I'm not going to say that maximum range should be 60 yards, 40, whatever. You just got to figure your own maximum range. And I respect whatever you decide. That's your deal. But I think what needs to happen is, shot placement is critical. And I know that aiming right up the leg, at least 11 to 12 inches from the bottom, the brisket area, the sternum, is a perfect shot you'll hit right in the middle of that heart. I think a lot of people tend to go for the crease, and the crease is too far back and low. Unless he's quartering away, the crease is a good shot. But other than that, you know, that's kind of where we're at. What else was I going to say? I lost my train of thought there.
You were talking about a technique that you use to find your optimum range.
Absolute optimum range. Okay, one thing I recommend is get your 40-yard pin. I like to sight in my bow 25 and then 40-yard pin. Mm-hmm. For elk hunting, probably you're not going to be shooting past 40 yards, especially when you're team calling with my concept, the way I like to hunt elk. So I tell my hunters, number one, go to 20 yards, use your 40-yard pin, aim at a line, use your 40-yard pin. Notice that you're probably going to only shoot between 2.5, maybe 3 inches high with your 40-yard pin at 20. So what I've done is I've told my shooters, just practice using your 40-yard pin on your elk. You know, if he's at 40, you're going to hit him right where you aimed. If he's at 20 yards, you're going to shoot, 2.5, 3 inches high. It's not a game changer. What happens a lot of times is that people freak out. They look at the horns. They come to full draw. They're still looking at the horns, and that's where the arrow goes. Pick a spot. Use that 40-yard pin. You're going to drill them. Double lung. Game over.
Yep. Absolutely. That's one thing I was going to ask too, is what is an exercise or training regiment that you could prep for season? That would be perfect. And in fact, this is one thing I've kind of announced recently across social media, but I started a Facebook page just called BowhuntingAZ. It's actually not a page, a group is what I mean. And so what I've done is I've opened it for just anybody that wants to join, just answer a few questions, and you can ask any question in there. There's no such thing as a dumb question. This group is meant solely just to mentor, and we've got great people in there that are, just willing to help out anybody. And so that's one thing I'm going to put as a challenge. I want to come up with like a tip of the week or a challenge of the week or something. And it's going to be what you suggested at the seminar, which is that pie tin. I think you said put a pie tin at 20, shoot 3 arrows, move back. Is that correct? Can you explain that for us?
Absolutely, you bet. In fact, you got to know your limitations, okay? Mm-hmm. Everybody has their own. I like to get 3 arrows. I look at a 6-inch pie plate, a 6-inch circle, shoot your 3 arrows at 20 yards, boom, they're all in there. All right, great. Now go to 30, draw back, shoot 3 more arrows, boom, they're all in there. Go to 40. As soon as you get 1 arrow outside of that 6-inch, pie circle, that should be your maximum limitation. That's the way I see that. Yep. And, and especially for elk, because we're going to be team calling. You want to experience that, that elk up front, up close experience. That's what elk hunting is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What is your personal exercise or training regimen like prepping for elk season, and how do you just stay sharp in general?
Awesome question. Number one is that you got to stay active. We have, these sedentary lifestyles, with business. I'm a middle school principal. But, I got to be honest with you, get out, walk. I like to walk at least 4 miles every day with my 25 pound pack. Mm-hmm. And there's people that you got guys like Cameron Haynes and Jay Jardin. He's a great friend of mine. These guys are into triathlons. In fact, Jay's out there getting home right now from one yesterday. That's extreme. I'm 50 years old. I like to walk. I like to carry my pack like I walk. I'm very fortunate that I have a little place where I can walk hills. Mm-hmm. I used to run hills. I used to do a lot of lunges. I think just staying active with that. I like to bike at least 9 miles every other day, but just find your routine. I strongly recommend, if you're just going to get started, get a doctor's, to go to doctors, get a visit, a little exam and make sure everything's right. Because elk hunting, I don't care if you're in the best shape that you are, it's tough. Yeah. And you just got to cover miles, and you enjoy it more when you are able to cover, at least, 4 miles in a morning, hunt. That's probably what my average hunt is now. We might go 11 miles the whole day. Depends what the elk are doing.
Sure.
It just all varies. But the more in shape you are, the better your experience is going to be with your hunting.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Bow setup. So you obviously shoot a PSE. What's your specific bow that you're using? What poundage do you use? Your fletchings, your fletching type, or arrow spine? Can you break that all down for us and talk about that?
You bet. I tell you what, I've shot PSE bow now for, almost 30 years. But I like the Carbon Air. I think these carbon bows are perfect elk bows, hunting bows. You cannot beat the Evolve cam that they've come up with. Of course, with a 90% let off, you still have the high speed. I'm not into movable sights. In fact, my sight is the original Pete Shepley long range sight. I've also put, of course, I have pins out to at least 90 yards, mainly to have fun with. But I have eliminator buttons on my pins. My green one at 40, my red at 60, and then I have another red at 75 yards. I do have a GoPro camera mounted on top of my sight. I do use basically it's a offset bee stinger stabilizer bar on my bow. I definitely like a 2-piece quiver. It's solid. It's you can't be detaching it. Everything's there. I have my X-Weave PSC carbon arrows with my feathers. I'm a little bit different than most guys. I love shooting feathers. I do add a little bit of silicone in case it does rain, but if you're tuned right, your arrows are going to fly out, correct anyway. I definitely have a Luminoc on my arrows, all my arrows, even my practice arrows. I practice with broadheads. I like the Evolution 1 broadheads. It has a cut-on impact blade on there that looks like the original Bear razor head that Fred Bear used to use, but this one has 2 expandable blades on the side. I have used fixed bladed heads, pretty much for elk hunting until this year. I'm going to try these Evolution ones. I like them. I've taken a couple Barbary sheep with them, and man, I really like that cut on impact head. I shoot 348 grains. It's a 200 spine X-Weave arrow. I shoot 73 pounds. I have a short 27.25-inch draw length. I need all the speed I can get. My arrow is on the light side for, I think, the average guy. But on the other hand, my maximum range on an elk is going to be 30 yards. I'm not going to shoot an elk past that. I respect those that will as well. A lot of guys have a 30-inch draw length with a 450 grain arrow shooting over 300 feet per second. They have kinetic energy to blow through an elk at 100 yards for that matter. But, I respect everybody's limitations. I do use, and I've been using a Whisker Biscuit now for at least 15 years. I stay away from the drop away rests, just personal preference. I've had good luck with my feathers with the Whisker Biscuit. I have an easy time tuning them, plumb tuning them as well. I'm getting 6-inch groups at 100 yards with this setup. Works great for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What about release? What are you doing for that?
I use a Scott Release. It's the little goose. It's a tiny little Velcro release. Pretty much it fits. It's a wrist release, and the length of it goes right into the middle of the palm of my hand. Very short release. I've gotten used to drawing back with it, where my index trigger finger is in front of the trigger already, and that way I don't have to search and wrap my finger around the trigger. And I learned that early on with good practice on 3D shoots. And really, this is the same setup that I use for 3D shoots as well. I like to use my hunting equipment, and that's why I'm at 3D shoots, is to fine-tune my skills and to get me into that situation mentally, to visualize a real living animal there before I squeeze that trigger and get that shot off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a huge proponent for anybody that's looking to get ready for season, is to go hit up a couple of these archery challenges and stuff and go shoot some of those with your hunting rig.
Yes, sir.
Fixed blade broadheads versus mechanical. You said it sounds like you're going to move to a mechanical this year, but you've used fixed as well in the past?
Yes, I've pretty much used fixed blades for elk, since at least for 30 years. Mm-hmm. I've used the Berry razor broadheads. There's just so many. I just like fixed bladed, at least 1 1/8, 1 1/16 cutting diameter. Definitely will do that. Yep. I have used Vortex broadheads as well out of Wilcox, Arizona. Stephen and Dennis Ward do a great job with those. My deal is, and I'm different just because of my draw length. 27 1/4 inch draw length is short. I need everything I can get. I strongly recommend, a fixed bladed broadhead. I've used expandables, particularly the Vortex heads, for javelina, for deer. Gosh, turkey, I wouldn't use anything but that head. It's awesome. Okay. But on the other hand, with my short draw length, fixed bladed, that's why I'm going to try to expand to this one. I know it's a 2-bladed cut on impact head with 2 open 2-inch diameter blades that, on this new Evolution 1 head. Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. Your Facebook page and your Instagram name and your guiding business is Ramos Hunts and Video Production. How has video played a role in your journey as a hunter and just telling the story behind the camera?
Great. I tell you what, video has really upped my game. It's a lot more difficult. We've improved over the years. It gets easier. We use now monopods versus tripods. And, to me, it's capturing the shot, trying to, capture. We can always do cutaways to put the story together. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's getting that shot for people. Now, the other thing that I really enjoy on my elk hunts is every time I video an elk that comes in, I like to break it down. This is the call. This is what I did. This is what I sounded. And if you look at Ramos Hunts and Video on YouTube, you can see my hunts on that. Ralph Ramos, you can Google that as well. Facebook, Ramos Hunts and Video Outfitters. But yeah, you can catch these there as well. Mm-hmm.
What type of gear are you guys using for videoing? You said GoPro is one of them. What else do you have?
GoPro. I use the Canon, just the small Canon high definition cameras. Your average cost on that is about $1,500. I got to be honest with you. I don't mess with the external mics and all of that stuff. I keep things simple. Mm-hmm. Here we are. I do use the, wind sock on the microphone, but I don't use the external mics and stuff. Half the time they're popping or clicking, or we're rubbing them on brush or something, or they're in the way. We keep things very simple on that end.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you use a separate videographer for some of these, or are you all recording on your own?
You know what? That's a good question. I got to be honest with you. I'm really fortunate to be around some good people, good friends. We've all just kind of grown together. Jay Jardin, is an excellent. I tell you what, he was on my bighorn sheep hunt. He's a triathlete who's I was talking about earlier. Stays in shape, understands me. I don't have to explain. He knows when I move, he moves. We're all in it together. It's a team effort. I'm not like everything's got to be on video. I'm a hunter first, and the nice thing about Jay, he makes it happen. He's got his role, his responsibility, and that's what he does. But we've had a great time videoing. It's nice to bring the experience, to be able to talk about it, and again, to dissect what was our mistake, what should we have done, things like that, to make it better next time. That's kind of where we're at, and that's what inspired me early on. Being a principal, I talk to kids all the time to set your goals early on. And when I was a kid, my goal was I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write an article, come out in a magazine, and that happened. I was fortunate to write for Bowhunting World, Bow Hunter magazine, several magazines, and I just wish I had more of time to do that. I'm actually working on a book on all the right moves. I do have a video on all the right moves elk hunting, but what I want to do is, set your goals. My next goal was to come out in a DVD, just to do that, and then come out on TV, and and that's happened. All these things tend to happen. The good Lord has blessed me with that. Again, to be around good people, and that's probably the best thing that hunting's done to me is it's brought me around excellent people. I've been very fortunate to have some of my best experiences out in the field with good people that I can talk to them, and we still remember a hunt. Yeah, man, can't believe you shot him at 10 yards. That bear was right there, or that bull came in screaming, and we were right behind the tree. And if we'd have just set up in front of the tree, we'd have killed that, that bull. That was a mistake. That was a lifelong lesson. Don't do that ever again, those type of things. But videoing is awesome. And gosh, the technology nowadays with these small cameras is incredible compared to, visiting with Pete Shepley, who used to carry around a 90-pound, film, camera out there in the field. Times have definitely changed. Now, there's times where I do hunt on my own. I just had a Barbary sheep hunt in Texas. We're in a tree stand, no place for a cameraman. So I've got the GoPro. I've got a small camera. Believe it or not, these iPhones are incredible too to capture moments and little small interviews and lead-ins to put a story together. And that's what videography and filming's all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
That story together. Yes, sir.
I've used my iPhone several times already just to capture some quick footage, and when I didn't feel like setting up the bigger camera, the higher end camera, I just whipped it out real quick and used the iPhone, and it worked perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
What are some additional things for people to think about if they're going to start self-filming while hunting?
Gosh, number one, start out with, I would definitely use a monopod. It doesn't, you're hunting. This is the real elements out there. I know a lot of, of course, some TV shows, that's all they do is tripod. Of course, they have probably a $20,000, $5,000 tripod, swivel heads and everything, free floating heads, whatever they have. I don't have time for that. I like to keep things simple. Get you a camera that you can afford. Go out there, practice, do it. Don't be hesitant to do things out of the tradition, especially like once you get the animal down, doing your interviews, remove it from the monopod and just kind of use your arm as a, I don't like to zoom in and zoom out. I like to just move right into the source, get a full picture, move in, walk in, smooth transitions into his face, when the hunter's talking about his experience, back it out, get a bunch of different cutaways like that. But probably the most important thing is practice. no matter if you're rifle hunting, bow hunting, whatever, muzzle loading, but have fun with it. And that's what makes it, rewarding at the end.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your guiding service and how you operate. And then I have another question as well. I had heard there's some sort of year-round over the sheep hunt as well in New Mexico.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah. You know what? Ramos Hunts and Video. We're a small family-owned operation. I do own it. I got to be honest with you. I have my brother who guides for me, Gabriel Ramos. In fact, he does a super job. Everything that I talk about, the X zone, the calling, aggressive calling, things like that, he does it as well. We've learned together. Again, friends help me with the videoing. Jay Darden, big guy. I have another guide for me, Julio, who's going to be working with us, this year as well. But we're small. I don't like to guide more than 10 people in 1 year. And I want it to be a great experience for them. It's tough to draw in New Mexico, as well as to be a principal to, logistically plan everything out. I probably be retiring here soon from the public schools and maybe pick up another 10 clients just to be out there every day from September 1 till mid-October. Gosh, because just the elk experience is awesome on that. But you can contact me if you're interested in putting in New Mexico. I only guide in New Mexico. You can call me at 575-642-3219. You can text me as well, or look at Ramos Hunts and Video on Facebook or Instagram. And January is the time to start talking about putting in. February is when we start putting in clients in New Mexico for all the public hunts here in New Mexico. Also, you asked about Barbary sheep hunt, I think is what you were asking about. Year-round hunt.
I can't remember if someone said Barbary sheep or Aoudad sheep or what it was, but there was some sort of over-the-counter sheep hunt that was year-round. A buddy mentioned to mine.
Yep, that's definitely the poor man sheep hunt, which is an awesome experience.
Yeah,
and that is Barbary sheep are the Aoudad. Same animal. Okay, and you can put in for a public draw hunt. There's some hunts now, even in October, November when they rut, but also in February. But there's a year-round hunt also statewide, as well as over around Alamogordo in the Lincoln National Forest, where it's a treacherous country. We started that hunt to try to reduce the Barbary sheep population so we could introduce bighorn sheep, which we were successful translocating desert bighorn sheep this past year on that same mountain range. And we did some research studies that the Barbary sheep and the desert bighorn sheep can commingle. And that's where that hunt's all about. But yeah, Ramos Hunts and Video, we do guide mainly elk hunters. But I tell you, when retirement comes around, we'll definitely be open for oryx, off-range hunts, deer hunts, Barbary sheep hunts. And I've got to be honest with you, one of my favorite all-time archery hunts is javelina with spotting and stalking, as well as turkey hunting in the spring. I just love it.
Well, that'll be awesome. I'm excited to see where you take things and how you grow from there.
Well, thank you, Steven.
Yeah. Hey, just some quick closing rapid fire questions. These aren't all necessarily hunting related. And then once I ask these questions, we'll follow up with any final thoughts or plugs that you have before we head off.
You bet.
All right. Best country music artist?
Ooh, I like the oldie type of country music artist. I like the Merle Haggards, the Waylon Jennings. I do like the Luke Bryant guys here, and but I like the old, more traditional country music. Is what I like to listen to.
Yeah, same here. All-time favorite meal?
I like Mexican food, tacos with oryx tacos, elk tacos, anything wild tacos is great. In fact, for lunch today, I smoked my Eastern turkey from Tennessee. It was awesome, man. So any wild game is what I like to eat.
Absolutely. What's the weirdest off the charts thing that you've eaten?
Weirdest. Probably Rocky Mountain oysters off an elk, or the tongue off an elk.
Yep.
And let me tell you something. A lot of people throw away the tongue on an elk. What a delicacy, man.
Lingua tacos, man.
Yes, that's right. Lingua tacos.
Yeah. What's a dream car?
Dream car, definitely a GMC. I'm very traditional. I still drive my 2007 GMC pickup truck. So that's my hunting machine. 3-inch lift, nothing super big, something to get me in and out of the woods. Of course, pulling my Razor, Polaris Razor, or my Polaris ATV just to park to pick me up at the end of the trail, so I don't have to walk all the way back to my vehicle to get us home, and packing that meat out, pack it to the ATV or my vehicle, and man, makes life a lot easier using my Everly stock backpacks as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, man. I really appreciate your time. I'd like to just open up to you for any final thoughts or plugs that you have before we head out.
Well, I tell you what, I owe it to the great Lord, who has really blessed me to just provide me with multiple experiences, multiple, calls that this industry has developed. I think these elk calling companies out there today are just outstanding people, from Rocky Jacobson and Will Primos. Gosh, Wayne Carlton is an awesome guy. Ralph Molini from Abe and Sons. These guys are all about these calls, and they live, breathe calls to provide us with better tools to be able to entice animals to come into bow range. It's incredible. Just this industry is a great opportunities that they've given me, provided me, as well as, and that's why I just like to give back to people, trying to educate them as much as I can. But I couldn't do it without the direction and the grace of the good Lord to provide these opportunities for me. Steve, I want to thank you also. Thank you for doing this today. If there's any other topics down the road, please feel free to reach out to me, as well as anybody out there who's listening. God bless you. If you ever want to talk elk or anything, give me a call. Ramos Hunts and Video, 575-642-3219, out here in New Mexico. God bless you.
All right. Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. I want to thank our guest again for his time and willingness to share his wealth of knowledge and experiences. If you're not already, head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at BowhuntingAZ. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you would, smash those 5 stars and leave a little review for the podcast. It'll really help me out. Have a great week, everyone. I'll see you in the next episode.